seconds.
We are
Hopefully
live.
I've done this right.
Yeah, we're live. Yeah.
Amazing.
This is
So
one
we
thing
are,
about this stringed instrument, right? You need to just, the string might just go off and you need to keep checking it. But yeah, that's part and parcel.
perfect. And we have people already appreciating us and saying this is a good initiative. So we've got started. I think we're streaming live.
Oh,
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us this evening for season 3, episode 5, I think, of Just Learning's broadcast. We are focusing on doing specials with artists this month. And we have Iti with us today, who is a sitarist, a teacher, and she's just been telling us that she's a wanderer, and lockdown has kept her at home for the last few months, and she can't wait to get back out again.
oh yeah.
But Iti will tell us more about who she is very, very shortly. But just before we get started, for those of you who are joining us today for the first time, Just Learning is this initiative that we started a couple of months back. We've come together to make justice inevitable and justice inclusive. And we are doing that currently through a few fronts in terms of collaborating with various civic communities and bodies. We're doing that with having a series of webinars and specials with people from various genres and fields. And we think a lot of the media we consume today is not always biased, but is often influenced by affiliations. And Just Learning has the unique advantage today of not having any of that, and hence being apolitical whilst having political conversations, unbiased while having strong opinions, and being a community where people can come together and have fun conversations. And in today's case, and in this month's series of episodes, also have some wonderful musical performances. So Iti, we have a tradition on Just Learning of starting off introductions, and where we ask our guests to introduce themselves without talking about what they do. So could you please introduce yourself to our wonderful audience without telling us what you do? Because we're going to
I
have the
don't
next hour and
think
a half to speak about that.
I need to say what I do because I'm sitting with the instrument anyway. Uh, yeah, well, I have been traveling a lot. It's part of my life and part of my learning. Makes me really grow in the art form that I am pursuing since
Yeah.
a pretty young age. Music has been a part of my life always, starting with my dad, who used to play the violin,
Mm-hmm.
and my grandfather, who was a student of Birju Maharaj, a
Okay.
Kathak
Wow.
student. He used to dance and he used to sing. It started over there, actually.
Right.
And my amazing school, which is Sri Aurobindo International Center of Education in Pondicherry,
Mm-hmm.
where we really had the opportunity to explore who we really are, who each of us is. And we had all the support from the system, from our school and teachers to pursue whatever calling we felt.
Yeah.
And that's why, that's why I am what I am, who I am. I do what I do because of that very reason, in fact. And yeah, I keep thanking my parents for this very amazing decision
Yeah.
they made me
So
putting there,
cool.
really.
Yeah,
And yeah,
and it's given you the freedom to do this for so many years, unhinged, uninterrupted, which is so cool. But so I was you sent me some super interesting links to your profiles and your YouTube channel, and I saw that you started really young. And how did you realize? So probably a couple of things. How did you realize so young that this is something you wanted to do as seriously? Because you committed to this. I think if I'm not wrong, you started learning the sitar at the age of 10 or 11. and you committed to doing this full time,
Yes.
almost straight after school, if I remember correctly. So, how did you realize so
Yeah,
soon, and how
that's
are
true.
you so committed to this? Because that's so incredible that you found this calling so young. And also, sorry, I'm just going to add
Honestly,
one more question on top of that,
yeah, sure.
which is, how did you pick up the sitar? Because you said your dad's a violinist, granddad was a singer and dancer. So why the sitar?
Mm. Okay, so Sita was actually never my choice. It never even crossed my thought. It just happened. I used to learn. I started with Carnatic singing, and then I
Mm-hmm.
continued doing Hindustani classical and Rabindra Sangeet back in school.
Mm-hmm.
And my teacher, one of my teachers then, she told me, you have a lot of free time, and you should totally pick up the sitar. I was like, what is that?
Right.
That's how it was to me. And she says, just go and learn. And I was absolutely not keen to doing that. I didn't want to pick up this instrument.
Right.
In a way, I was kind of pushed to do this, to pick up the instrument. And I've been just so fortunate that I had an amazing teacher, sitar teacher. He not only made me fall in love with this instrument, but he actually made me fall in love with Indian classical. And I just wanted to learn more and more. And
Right.
I never thought that that would actually make me do this today, and this is what I do. And yeah, that's how I actually started. Of course, I started in a Khayal style of music, Indian classical.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I discontinued college. I completed first year of my 3 years higher course, and then discontinued because I wanted to do music, Indian classical. I went to
Yeah.
Bombay then, and there I found my Guruji, Ustad Bahauddin Dagar of the Dagar Gharana,
Mm-hmm.
uh, of the Drupad Indian classical music,
Classical
Drupad form of
style.
Indian
Yeah.
classical music. And yeah, that changed my life really, because Drupad is not just Drupad, any kind of music does that. But yeah, Drupad I feel is even more intimate, and really it touches your depth. It does change
Right.
you, and vice versa. Your music changes when you change, and you change when your music changes. So it's like hand in glove. And
So beautiful.
yeah, that
Yeah.
is something that has been a part of my life always. I think it's going to always be. Not I think, I'm sure it is. So
That's
yeah,
so
that's
cool.
pretty
But
much in short how.
and why switch from Khayal to Drupal? Was that just because of your Guruji, or was it just a natural arc in terms of exploring the instrument further? Could you also tell us a little more about the difference between the two? Maybe show us the difference between the two if you can.
Okay, I'll attempt for
Again,
sure.
few
Um,
loaded questions. I feel like I'm throwing a lot of these together at the same time.
please ask away. You okay? So I will first answer your this question about how from Khayal to Drupad. I had no idea about Drupad initially, but when I met Ustad Bahauddin Dagar,
Yeah.
we lovingly know him as Bablu Dada. So when I met him, I really loved his music. I love the persona, I love the way he plays the Rudra Veena. He doesn't play the
Mhm.
sitar.
Okay.
And it really made me probe really deep within me, and it left me in tears, honestly speaking, the music that he played. And I wanted to explore more of this, and I went to him and spoke to him. At that point of time, the only difference I really knew was that Khayal has a shorter alap while Drupad has a longer alap. That was I was that ignorant about Drupad, and I asked
Right.
him that he told me that you really need to start from scratch. You need to
Mm.
unlearn everything you have learned and start from scratch for Drupad. If you're willing to give that dedication and that effort, then be my
Mm.
student. And who
Right.
knows how long it will take. It's a Guru Shishya Parampara style besides, where
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a fixed fee, where you live with your Guruji, you grow up there, and you
The
travel with
Gurukul
him.
style.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I totally accepted that because I just wanted to know what Drupad is all about. So that
That's so
made me
cool.
actually change and shift.
It's really cool. I'm so glad that you started by saying all I knew when I first went and spoke to your Guruji was that Khayal was more shorter alaps and Drupad is longer, more exploratory. Because I try to have a quick look. So when I was younger, I used to sing Carnatic classical vocals as well and play the
Oh, wow.
mridanga.
Okay.
And but I had no clue what Khayal or Drupad meant when I read about it earlier. So I had a quick look, and that is literally what I understood as well, because my understanding was okay, shorter alap, longer alap, more exploratory, more traditional, older. And I said, okay,
Mhm.
fine. I'm not going to try to make a fool of myself by acting like I know what it is. I'm just going to ask you. But you saying that this is what you went in knowing just made me feel so much
Yes.
better about myself. So thank you very much for
Oh,
sharing
yeah.
that. Could you show us? Would you be able to play something for us to be able to show us the difference between the two? Is it something that's easy to spot? Is it more exploratory in terms
Um,
of in terms of the same tunes being explored in further detail? Is it shorter songs? How do you identify the difference
I can
between?
explain it, but I don't know if I can play it and show it to you right now.
Sure.
I can try that. So the
Okay.
thing is, they are both the compositions themselves change. In Khayal,
Okay.
it's a different composition. Drupad will have different composition. The notes are basically every note in Drupad is explored. So we go into
Hmm.
microtones. So between,
Okay.
like, there are standard seven notes, and then you have the
Hmm.
half note between two notes, right?
Hmm.
In Drupad, you go down to seven notes between two notes. So the microtones.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it takes years and years, and I don't know, I mean, lifetimes probably to actually be able to hear that, to be able to make out
Hmm.
the difference. And it changes with the time of the day. The frequencies of the
Hmm.
notes change. So when you're playing a particular raga in the morning, it will sound and it will be different compared to the same rag that you play in the evening,
Hmm.
because the frequencies are different at that point of time, and you need to be able to catch that. I'm way far from that yet. I mean, I'm just still trying to hear
To
them. I don't
learn.
know however
Mm.
long it takes, whatever it takes, but that is the whole point. And so being basically in sync with the earth, with the rotation of the earth, with the sounds and the frequencies and stuff like that. So Khayal is the more romantic era of Drupad. So it
Right.
doesn't go into that much of detail basically. So, and it
It's
is much faster. Drupad is slower.
okay. And Drupad is the
Yeah,
older
older.
school
Yes,
of thought.
it
Okay.
comes from the Rig Vedas. It's as old as the
Right.
Vedas.
Okay. Wow.
So it came
So
from
cool.
a refinement of the chanting. It took a form of Drupad, and then of course, then you have a lot of offshoots of Drupad, Thumri and Khayal, and many different
Hmm.
kinds. So yeah.
So cool. Amazing. Iti, I'll keep asking you childish questions, but what I'd really like to see and hear, and I'm sure a lot of the people who are on here today would much rather I keep quiet and listen to you play. So can we take a quick interlude from conversation and hear you play something for us?
Yeah,
And
sure,
could you tell us
sure.
what you're playing? So we're going to do this as a combination of demonstrations, performances, and teaching. So you're going to be teaching us, you're going to be telling us what you're playing, and hopefully also just be playing for us and we'll just listen. That's my hope.
Sure, I will surely tell you what I am. Yeah. Um, so I will give you a very humbled performance of what Drupad is like. I'm going to play Rag Yaman, and I
Mm-hmm.
will go stage by stage, starting with the Alap and going to Jod,
Okay.
slow Jod and fast Jod, and then there is the Jhala,
Okay.
and then comes the composition with the tabla. So when I
Okay.
put the tabla, I'll hope it'll sound okay on this online platform. But yeah, we can try it, where the
We'll give it a
composition
shot.
comes in and it's more light. It's fun.
Okay. Sounds good.
So yeah, I mean, I'll start with
Go
the
for it.
alap now then.
Go for it. Yeah, we're going to mute ourselves just to ensure that the quality of the audio is best from your end. So you might not hear us, but
Right,
we're
and I'm
very
going to
much
keep.
here.
All right. I'm going to keep my earphones down as well. So if you say something, I might not respond immediately.
I'm definitely not brave enough to talk when you're performing.
Sorry. I lost you there, Jay.
No, I just said I'm not brave enough to talk when you're performing, so don't worry, I won't be saying anything.
Right. Okay. Another hazard of a string instrument. You need to keep tuning it back and see. So this is a thing about Drupad. We go down to the kharat strings, which is the really lower octaves, lower octave basically.
Yeah.
We play a lot on that. So what I'm actually doing over here is exploring every note. So there is a chronological order, like Sare Gama Padani Sa, right? So when I am exploring Ni, and then I go to Re, then I go to Ga because this is Yaman. So every note that I explore, it's like a painting. I'm giving it a certain akar. I'm giving it a certain swaroop, a shape,
Mm.
you know. And I'm showing for you. I mean, I'm showing the audience or the people whoever's listening what this particular note represents to me in this raga. It changes for every person.
Yeah.
That's where the subjectivity comes into the Indian classical music. So I make phrases. So I make phrases and I end them on that particular note, if you observe. And every phrase is different. I'm trying to fill in and give a little bit more detail about this note, whether it's important, how important, can I stay on that note for much longer, or is it like a passing note? Is it a restless note? You know, what kind of a thing it is for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what I'm trying to do here.
I'm slowly starting to digest the depth of some of this. I'm just letting it sink in.
Right. This particular note, which I'm doing now, it's a very important note in this rag, and you will notice that you feel a certain release, a certain calm when you end your phrase over there. It feels like a perfect full stop or a comma, you know? It's a perfect pause.
Right.
So that is the importance of this particular note that I'm doing right now, that I'm elaborating right So this is how alap goes. This is just a small part of the alap. It can go on for hours. So
Yeah.
it's the biggest
That was,
part.
yeah. That was sublime. I mean, you took us to another dimension. It was beautiful. Thank you so much.
It was very, very nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Also, we'll introduce Badri after she's continuing with the performance.
Oh no, there's no. I just wanted to say that was so beautiful. Like I learned Carnatic music, and we know Yaman as Kalyani.
Yes.
And what you were doing with the strings right now, you suck the juice out of every note. Like I tried to understand before. I've asked friends of mine who've learned Hindustani music for many years what
Right.
different gharanas mean and what Drupad is and what a tumri is. And, because the terms are different, even though the forms of classical music are roughly similar across Indian music, at least, right? And they said that the beauty of Drupad is its ability to bring out a base beauty of every note, which is found in its expansiveness and its expansion. And so you get to go really deep in between notes for really long. And I mean, I know as you just ended by saying that you can go on forever. I fully agree with you. And if you did, we wouldn't be complaining at all. So thank you for doing this for us, first of all. So we really appreciate you having here.
I'm I'm glad I'm playing for you guys. It's a nice experience, really. And you're making me a little nervous because you said you also learn Carnatic and stuff. So
I'm
Carnatic is
I'm
one
not
of
at
those.
all an expert of anything. I'm not an expert of anything. So you shouldn't be bothered by it. And I love exploring new things. So I find
Right.
mistakes very welcoming and comfortable. So if you make mistakes that actually feel normal. If you don't, that wouldn't be it wouldn't be quite okay.
Also,
And
just
because I think like music is never without imperfection. And especially in classical music, we prioritize perfection so much, and you sometimes forget the freedom that folk music and non-classical music allows. Even Sufi is a great example because it's a bridge between classical to not purely classical music, which allows for bhakti and other kinds of emotions to play up, right? And sometimes I wish classical music allowed for its form to evolve. And so in that sense, I think evolution of form comes with mistakes. And there is no such thing as a mistake. I mean, like I remember Miles Davis' quote where he said that there's no wrong note. If you play the next note the way it's consistent with the previous note, then it's always the right note. And so long as you're able to keep your fingers on the instrument, you're always right. So I think that's all there is to it. So it's not so much about mistakes or no mistakes or
just to
knowledge
add,
or
Ithi, just to add, if it makes you feel better, I am musically illiterate. So I'm learning so much from you today, and I'm in awe of you. So you've got yourself, you've got yourself one of your biggest fans. So yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. That's really amazing to hear. In fact, I was just going to tell you, Badri, that you spoke about Carnatic music. It is even older than Drupad, and Drupad, goes back to. I've seen my Ustad do this. We have a student who is Carnatic music Vidwan in the Gurukul. He's brilliant, actually, Veena player. And so he knows a lot about Carnatic music, and there's always a question answer thingy going on between Drupad and Carnatic.
I'm here, but I can't hear you very well, so I'm trying to focus.
Yeah, hold on. I think I'll just put my earphones.
Yeah, so there's always a give and take in Carnatic and Drupad. So there's always, they all both stand to correction, and they always just verify with each other, because they are actually the strongholds of Indian classical music. So it's beautiful. Carnatic is amazing.
That's true. That's true. Oh, it is. And, I feel Drupad and Carnatic are actually closer relatively because, both have expansiveness and they also have a lot of mathematical calculation. Carnatic music is far more wedded to the Tala or the Tal than any Hindustani music is. And I feel Tala is explored much more, much earlier in Hindustani music than in Carnatic music. In Carnatic music, it's almost as though every combination of Tala is used very, very calculatedly. So you're seeing how to fit enough notes within a phrase. You need to improvise within constraints. So it has the rigor of Drupad, but also the freedom of other forms of Hindustani music. So I like that these forms of music can speak to each other because it's really the same notes. There's no reason for us to occupy different musical worlds just because we were introduced to this universe, from our own directions.
Right. Sorry, I lost you a little bit in there. Lost what you said, but I get the point. That they are really close, and
No,
yeah,
no,
it's amazing that they can contribute to each other so much. And yeah, it's damn cool actually. And I started to look at Carnatic in a very different light after I joined Drupad, and I see, the depth of it. It's amazing. Should I carry forward with playing a little bit of Jode so that then later
Yes,
I can
please.
come back
Sure.
Yes.
I was just going to say,
Can we,
Badri
so
jumped in
can I just
just
say
before
one
you're going
thing?
to get into
So
your composition.
we're happy to.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Badri, you were saying something?
No, I was just saying we can go with it as you please, but all I want to say is we want to speak with you as much as we want to listen to you, and we want to do both of those things quite a bit.
Okay.
Feel free to play for us, but when you feel like speaking, then let's have a conversation. There are so many things for us to explore, and this is only the first time. I'm sure we'll have more opportunities to have these conversations. So yeah, I mean, happy playing. We'll be back soon.
I can continue really talking also. I mean, it's super nice for me. I'm getting to know so many things as well. So I have lost Badri completely.
Yeah, I think he's switched off his
No, I think
video for a
it's just
second.
his
Yeah.
video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's fine. We're all going to.
I'm here. I was just trying to conserve bandwidth.
Yeah, we'll go to the composition and we'll come back.
Yeah, maybe I can play a little bit of the composition.
Yeah.
I'll play a little bit of the Jode and then go to
and then the correct. Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, excuse me, there are just so many, I don't know, strange insects come around today. It's very nice. Wow.
They're all here for the music as well.
Yes.
We want to be on the live broadcast.
Yeah. I hope they're enjoying it as much as
I'm
I
sure
am.
they are. I'm sure they are.
Okay, I'm
Sorry,
going to
Iti, just before you start, do you want to take your earphones off? Yeah, that's what I was just going to suggest.
Yeah, I'm just going to remove my earphone.
So this part, this ang is called the Jod ang, where the rhythm comes in, not the tala, not the beats, but the rhythm comes in. The alap has a pace but not the rhythm. This has a rhythm. But I'm pretty much doing the same thing, exploring the notes and stuff. So this was basically slow jode and the fast jode, followed by the
This,
fast jode. Very,
that
I did
was
it briefly.
damn amazing.
I'm glad you liked it. Thank you.
So good. It was so good.
Thank you.
Listen, we are on a live stream, so I think we should try not to
Hi,
over
Badri. I
explain.
finally see you.
No. I mean, I was listening to you. I was not very confident about my bandwidth, so my internet's not
No,
not
no,
not my capacity to listen to music. But
no.
that was really beautiful. Once again, I felt like you ended it too soon, and I think that's always the right time to stop playing before it's too late. But with
No,
forms of music
the
like Drupad, until you end it, it's not over, and you can really go on forever. Right? Like there are regular tracks are 55, 56 minutes long, and you don't feel bored when it's playing.
Iti's plan was to do alap, a jode, and then she was also going to do a composition with tabla. So she's not come anywhere close to ending. Don't worry. She only took a pause to tell us.
Oh no, I know that. I know that, but it was also I understand
so
that.
beautiful.
I understand that.
Very, very nice.
So can we ask you one or two questions, if you don't mind, before you continue to play for us? And so can you tell us? Listen, I haven't yet referred to you by name because I'm not sure if I should call you Twisha or Iti, because calling you Iti is funny because it's just a word in Sanskrit, right? It's just, aham is me and I, and Iti is this. So like calling you Iti is like saying hi this, and at the same time like, okay, that's how you want to be identified.
It is a concept really. I mean, it's not it is literally means this, but it also means eternity in Sanskrit, in fact.
So, and and in fact that's why Titi is date, right? So Iti, Titi, Tata, Tataha, these words belong to the same family.
Yes,
so that those anyway, coming back to the concept of here and now, Sanskrit has this marvelous conception of space-time. So if you want me to call you by a Sanskrit name, I'll be just like, okay, sure, whatever you, I mean, we call Eminem, so there's no reason why we shouldn't give ourselves Sri Ravi Shankar and Sadhguru. These are great names, Iti, on the other hand, it's classy. I like it. It's very 21st century, 22nd century in its imagination, because it can connect back to 2000 years ago, and I think that's quite cool. So I want to ask you one question right now, which is one, what should I address you as? And the second, the actual question was, how did you find yourself gravitating towards Drupad? Of all the forms of music that you could have made yours, you've trained in Drupad for over a decade, right? And so the choice was obviously deliberate. And so can you tell us what drew you towards Drupad? And can you give us a sense of what a Drupad education is like? And then perhaps, I'm going to keep quiet now after this, because I'd much rather just hear you and then hear you play right after, if you feel up to it. But this is broadly what I'm curious about,
Right.
If you've covered a lot of this, then I don't want to, I don't want to make you repeat anything.
I spoke of it quite at length about it actually.
Okay, great. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I really feel like I landed out of nowhere, and I did, but
it's absolutely fine. But I'm glad you could make it and you came. So it's amazing. I connected to you guys, by the way. It feels really good.
I know we should thank our common friend Gauri for this. Now, Gauri is an exceptional individual, and she is one of the most full of love beings that I know, and she has been that way for as long as I've known her, since her master's, when I was also working at Azim Premji University. And she worked with us on Gather many years ago, and she's a very, very close friend of mine. So it's really nice that she put us in touch, and we're doing this literally like 2 days after she put us in touch, because obviously you trust Gauri's recommendations,
Of course,
so coming back to this, okay, I'm
there's a question I first want to ask you guys. What do you all do? Like, what does Kritika, what do you do? And Badri, what do you do? And Jay, how come you guys are doing this? Like, how do you come here? What happened? Yeah.
So
went straight and took a left. That's the answer to all questions associated with directions in space-time and in Bangalore. And also ideology, I think, at a time when capital is dead. I mean, capitalism is dead, but capital is not dead. So we can create a version of it, which is nice. So I know Jay was about to respond, but since I've already cannibalized his moment, I'll complete my answer and then let him go on. I was just about to say, I design human interactions and like building communities. I like organizing intentions and incentives to build systems which are just, which enable love and communion to be inevitable in the world in some form or the other. And wherever I can, I try to get paid for it. So yeah, I mean, I like to identify myself with a Robin Hood kind of figure, or whatever the appropriate Sanskari equivalent of that is. Yeah, but that's me. And yeah, I'll leave it to these guys to answer that question.
Okay.
So I try to support Badri in his endeavors. That seems to be a lot of my full-time job more recently. Managing Badri and managing Badri's projects.
Oh my God, wow.
I also so I'm just about to start doing a master's.
Okay.
So I worked. So I used to work for one of I used to work for KPMG in something called transfer pricing. So I used to do some consulting type work for multinational companies. I'm based in the UK, and I'm now about to start doing my master's in a couple of months. So I'm preparing myself to start studying.
That's going to be in UK as well.
That's going to be in the UK as well. Yeah. So I'm going to stay on here for just a little while longer.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. And Kritika, what about you?
So
like, how do you fit in here? Like, how do you meet? How do you know these guys?
I'm here because of Badri. I'm Badri's friend. I think that's my title for this evening. But otherwise, I'm a lawyer, and Badri and I have common connections in Bangalore.
Okay.
We share bosses, and we also share.
Wow.
More importantly, we share commitment and love to talk about love and justice and law. So yeah, that's a more
it's
answer. Yeah,
amazing. I mean, I really did not expect to see law, art, law, love, and equity. Is that it? The
yes.
three things. Yeah. So on one single platform, and I mean, it's quite amazing. You guys have got all of this together. It's quite something, really. I was telling Jay about it earlier.
I think Badri described it to me a couple of days back as saying, or probably on the last broadcast, and he said the aim of the game is making justice inevitable, right? Making justice for all, making justice inevitable, which actually transcends law, right? So I always make it a point, especially when I'm in Badri circles, to establish that I'm not a lawyer. And and in most instances don't understand lawyer speak. But this exercise of just learning transcends law completely, right? Which is why the whole law, love, equity is about how we're coming together to be extremely simplistic about creating for a more just outcome, for living better together, for having conversations with anyone who will want to have a conversation, listening to everyone who wants to be listened to, and speaking to everyone who wants to be spoken to. And which is such a simple concept in itself, which is not capped by what your background is. It's not capped by like where you want to go, where you're from. It's just what you want to do right now. And so which is why when we were setting ourselves up for this conversation, I said, you know what? We don't need to worry about preparing for it. There's no list of questions. We're literally going to have a chat. It just happens to be streamed on YouTube and Facebook and seen by people who then share their thoughts and chip in. And it's amazing that we're able to do it.
Cool. And it's very comfortable, and
which is such a great place to be. And in some ways, we're almost grateful for like this stemming out of the virus in terms of being able to create something, a setup of this sort, right? And we're hopefully coming together, and we're going to beat this thing. And but we've also found a way of like coping with it and talking about love and art and justice through all of this. And I think Kritika wanted to speak to you about some of these things. So I'm going to hand back to Kritika, otherwise I'll keep going.
Yeah. So just I think just to get back to knowing more about you and your musical journey, you've told us that you spent most of your life in Oroville, Pondicherry. You got your education there. How did Bombay happen to you, and why did Bombay happen to you? And also in terms of your guru, how did all of that come about?
Bombay happened to me, like I said, I was 19 when I moved to Bombay. The reason I went there was I was a big fan. I've always been a big fan of Nikhil Banerjee. He's a sitar maestro. He's no more. And I love his style of music, his way of playing. And his nephew had an institute in Mumbai. And that was a start for me. Like, I didn't know where else to go. And I went to that place in Juhu and I joined that institute. It was a diploma course, like I said, it was a 3-year diploma course. I was there for just about 6 months, not even six, yeah, maybe 6 months, and I was really not satisfied. I was not looking for a degree. I was not looking for a diploma, anything like that. It was Indian classical music. It just doesn't make sense. You cannot learn things by heart and go and play and give an exam because it just doesn't work. Everything is about you and the music. I mean, no two times that you play are similar. The same thing, I cannot replicate what I played right now anyway. It's going to be different every time. So how can you do that? So
Yeah, or another way to say that. Sorry.
yeah,
I was
please.
just struck by that one line. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Flo. I'll remind you exactly where you dropped off. But I was just about to say, you can never play the same thing twice, but you can't also play anything but the same thing twice, because with both of these things, you have to figure out how to retain the musicality anyway. And in a certain sense, the bunch of swaras imply the same kind of harmonies, and each version of it is infinitely vast. But fundamentally, they're all speaking the same language of the raga that you're performing in. And so you're constantly within the universe of that language. So you're never going to be outside of it. If you do, you say it's a wrong note, right? And at the same time, each time you play it, it's different. So how can it be so vast and so organic simultaneously? Isn't that insane?
Yeah, it is the changing in the unchanging, right? It's something like that. Because every time you come back to it, you see something that you didn't see earlier. And the reason you see that is because you have also changed as a person. Your perception has changed. So it's quite something. In fact, it's so vast. That's so true.
There's a very famous like pre-Socratic philosopher. I mean, Socrates is often thought of as the founder of like modern Greek philosophy and
Mhm.
whatnot. And there's one of these guys, I forget his name, but they had a theory of flux, and they said no man steps into the same river twice. And we've
Yeah.
all heard variations of this phrase, and of course, like gender neutral formulations of it. But
Mm.
either the rivers changed or the man's changed, the particles have changed. This is the same story in Siddhartha as well.
Yeah.
It's a story of time in Iti as well, right? And I really love the idea of the eternal return, the idea that we keep coming back to the eternity, the fullness of living, which has repetition but also complete uniqueness in the manifestation of it, which just mirrors the way life often operates, right? Not often, it only operates like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty beautifully put, said. Yeah, you're right. No, there's just
So
more.
sorry, you were talking about you were answering
Yeah.
when you were
Huh.
talking about your relationship with playing, and you were answering this question of the journey from
How
Oroville to
Bombay
Bombay
happened and
and
stuff.
not finding comfort in examinations. Man, I totally relate to that. How can you not like testing? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
always feel it almost feels like it takes away the sanctity of the music. What are you testing for?
absolutely.
How are you testing? Are you going to test? If you're testing in a gurukula, that's a different kind of situation because it happens, say, with your guru, and
Hmm.
you're doing it all the time. Every day is a test.
Yeah, and there,
Uh,
exactly. So
there's no
you don't
difference.
really label it. He's just there
Yeah,
to
and
just gauge your progress, and he's just correcting you exactly where he needs to put
yeah,
you on the path, not
that's it.
correcting you. Like if I use the word wrong in front of my Guruji, he gives me this stare and he's like, "गलत कुछ नहीं होता है, कोई गलत चीज नहीं होती है." There is nothing wrong in anything that you do. So
I
there is
wish
no
we had
wrong.
similar, I'm sorry, I wish we had similar teachers in law school. Badri and I can testify to that.
No, but Kritika, I was very lucky to have gurus who had this philosophy as well, and I mean, gurus that I made up and real gurus, musical gurus, I mean, across like learning vocal music for a long time, playing the violin and listening to lots of kinds of music, reading different kinds of things. Mm, and you make your own gurus, right? So
Yeah.
the only way to learn is to have a radical capacity for radical acceptance.
Mm.
And I say it's a radical capacity because it's damn hard to accept that mistakes are okay. It feels terrible all the time. I was feeling so crappy about joining like 20 minutes late right now. And I mean, ultimately, I know it's okay. This is a safer space than most spaces are. And we've been lucky to be able to manage it. It's a privilege. Um, but yeah, I mean, like if you have that, I feel like there's possibility to grow. Without it, I don't know if a musical journey is a musical journey.
Yeah. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing to have that freedom of expressing completely without having to think it's wrong or right or whatever it is, whatever that might be. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, coming back to
Yeah,
what
I
you
mean,
had
how
asked.
have we forgotten? Sorry.
No,
Last
no, no,
last
please tell me,
trail,
Badri. No,
and I
no,
won't say
please
anything
tell me.
after this. No, it's just like you're saying a lot of things I deeply agree with, so it's very hard for me to keep
Yeah.
quiet. I don't mean to be impolite.
Not at
It's
all.
just
You're
I
not
feel
being.
like we live in a time where we've finally remembered what freedom can feel like. I mean, we don't live in a society where we celebrate the love of freedom enough. We speak more of the restrictions to our freedoms than we do of actual freedoms. It's
Mm,
terrible, whether it's in terms of what you wear or how you sleep or what your habits are, who you are. And that's so crappy. It's not, I mean, like, and I suppose learning some education is one of the spaces where the respect for freedom is always present, right? Which is why we take university politics very seriously
mm,
as a matter of gauging the pulse of what an activated mind feels is appropriate for our society.
yeah.
So there's, I mean, margins, people who live differently from us, all of those things. I think like exploring freedom is a nice thing, and we should just do that more and more. So I don't know, Trisha. I was not sure if someone else in your position would have made your decision. Because working with Nikhil Banerjee, having a diploma, it sounds great on paper, but as an education, only you can know whether it feels right. So I'm imagining as you're saying this that your upbringing and your context allowed you to think beyond that. And I think, I mean, like Kritika is nodding her head. This is what we're really curious about. What was it in you that um, that evolved along the way, and how has it evolved subsequently once you made it to Juhu?
Yeah, I really would give the biggest credit to Drupad itself. The music, it really changed me. I mean, Drupad being, uh, I mean, it includes the Gurukul, it includes my Guruji, the way he made me look at life in general, all life is Drupad in that sense. And I mean, every time I would go ask him something, any question, he wouldn't answer. He'll just give me a look and leave it. And that's how he teaches all his students. That's how it is. You need to find out for yourself. They never spoon feed. They would give like a small phrase to start with, and you will keep tramping, like you just keep on that phrase all the time, and over a year, over 2 years, over 3 years, and you'll every time go and play that same thing in front of him, and he will not give you anything more, and you cannot dare ask for anything more, because the answer is just going to be that stoic expression of his. He's not going to tell you more. The whole point being
Oh,
that he wants that something inside you to open up and to perceive it. And that one phrase has, I'm not kidding you, this whole thing I played was just that one phrase. The alap I played was just that one phrase he gave me, and over the years I've just been playing that, and it slowly opened up doors. I could see certain things, and of course, like whenever he took classes of others, you just sit, you become a part of that class, you take in, soak in as much as you can, and it's just about how your entire life is Drupad. Basically, that's what he taught. Be it cooking, be it be it anything. You're washing clothes, you're sweeping, you're doing whatever it is, but it's just that same amount of passion, the same amount of understanding of what you're doing really. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, I
that's
suppose the general
amazing.
principle there is the idea that how you do anything is how you do everything. How you do everything is how you do anything. So
Yeah,
how can it not be? I mean, I've also been blessed with similar musical teachers, really blessed, right?
right.
I mean, at least they're all scientists. Two of them. One of and my vital teacher, she's the director of the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, and my older teacher, Dr. Vajrangan, is an inventor, and he makes
Wow.
vegan mridangams and tablas and a whole bunch of other things. We've had him here
Amazing.
before. And I was about to say that phrase, no, I don't like, I felt torture in class. First of all, I was forced into it before I discovered I loved it. But like, we take one phrase and just sing it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I felt like I made no progress for weeks on end. But when you observe how
Frustrating.
much you've grown all of a
After
sudden
sitting
when
in
you
Bangalore
sing the
traffic.
rest of the song,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, this is like what, 15 years ago. So this was, and it was hard. It was very hard, but so gratifying. And as you said, Trisha, I really relate to that phrase of something opening up, because that capacity really comes into you when you listen to other music as well, not in a judgmental way, but in a way where you explore the possibilities. I can't listen to you and not contemplate how I'm responding musically to that. In
Right,
fact,
right.
I've just been muting myself and like humming in my head. Not just in my head, but yeah,
That's
like that's a natural reaction of the kind of education that we've received, where we uh, absorb the truths with a lot. I mean, it's like carving on rock with a pencil. So that's how you need. That's how much you need to
nice.
dig, I suppose, to figure out where the source of water is. It requires a lot of resilience, which is why it makes sense to generalize that principle to other aspects of your life. So I related to that as well. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Also, just
Do you want
the
to say
whole
more, Kritika?
exploratory
Were you about to?
nature of it.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I think.
No, no. I was asking because I interrupted Trisha again, predictably. And
No, no,
so I don't know
please.
if Trisha was done. I don't know if Kritika was about to ask a question, and it also looked like Jaideep wanted to say something. So I
Yeah.
will mute myself at this point.
Yeah.
Jay, you
No,
were saying something?
I was just saying, like, I mean, you said this right at the start about Drupad, right? About how it's about an exploration, right? About
Hmm.
7 minitones with between two notes,
Yeah.
and then you also can compare that to like adapting that to other walks of life, like
Yes.
whether it's your cooking or your cleaning, and like that struck.
Yeah, I actually would interrupt you over there
It's so
because
flirty. Yeah.
because there's just something that comes to mind. When Ustad was a great cook, I'm talking about Chote Ustad Zia Fariduddin Daga. He's no more.
Hmm.
And he was an amazing cook. He was a vocalist.
Hmm.
And he would say, while he would cook, that, beta, खाने में भी प्रमाण की जरूरत होती है. हर चीज में प्रमाण ही important होता है.
Hmm.
प्रमाण is the measure. फिर वो
Yeah.
चाहे द्रुपद हो या खाना हो या जो भी हो, measure is so important. You cannot put a little more of something and expect it to be what you want. You have to be
Yeah.
so sure about what you're doing, how much
Yeah.
you want to put in. So yeah, I'll just stop coming
But
back to what you're saying, different walks of life.
but the beautiful part of that, though, but the beautiful part of that is but this also ties back to the no mistakes concept, which is you put a little more and realize you find something else, and that
Yeah,
you
you
actually
find
keep
something
something
else. It's
else,
not a mistake
which
though,
is
but it's
also so cool, right? Like
yeah,
it's the same theme, and it's such a simple analogy that is truly transferable. So when they say you see Drupad and everything, you can actually explain it, and like it makes sense. And it makes sense. I mean, you say this, obviously it makes sense because you have many experience of it. But like Kritika mentioned about cooking earlier, like this, like I can like see this with like cooking, for instance. Like that's a comparison I can draw very easily. But
okay.
anyways, I'll hand back to Kritika. I also
Yeah.
but I was also very curious with one last question before handing back to Kritika. Is how you went from such a deep traditional classical art form, and like I was saying, right, just before we got online, I heard you playing the Beatles on sitar. And
Yeah.
where did that come from? How did that happen?
Okay. Um, So I really decided that it was a couple of years back that I decided I want to just hit the road. I want to travel and I want to make money and be able to survive through my travels. And I cannot leave my sitar behind because I have to at all points of time be connected to music. So I came to the conclusion that my skill, of course, is this. And if I can continue to do this, I also get to practice. And, so anyway, I basically started to commercially play sitar. And that's when I met many different artists. And I mean, I had to really experiment different genres as well because of that very reason, because I also needed it to sell as well as really enjoying this. I mean, really seeing the different aspects of all kinds of music, right? So where I actually am still way behind, as in I have so much to learn from all the other genres as well. Like I realize like I've been so cocooned in a certain manner, and not been exposed to this. So yeah, Beatles came then, and there I met this amazing musician called Prashant Edwin. And yeah, so we collaborated. We actually Iti Aham, the band was called Iti Aham. That is how the name came about. Iti is my artist name. I have certain reasons for that, which maybe some other day I might talk about. But
Episode 2.
so yeah, so this is how it happened, and Beatles came, and I wanted to basically try and fit in Indian classical music with Western music. So if you see Beatles, I have played the song on the sitar, but
But
I
it's
shifted
adapted
to
for it.
yeah, and I shifted
Yeah.
to a rag wherein
Mm,
that rag fits in. It's called Hansadwani
mm,
and Beatles.
yeah.
I joined the two, and I want to work actually much deeper in that. I want to go deeper into that, which
Yeah.
is going to take
Hey,
again a
Didn't
lifetime
George
job.
Harrison
he did.
come and learn from Pandit Ravi Shankar as well back in
Ravi
the day?
Shankar, yes,
Yeah.
yes, he did.
And
Yeah. He
actually
did.
like
He did.
stopped, took a whole break from guitar
And
playing for a while.
dude, actually, it was not just George Harrison. In fact, everyone, Jimmy Page, the Birds, Cream, Clapton,
Entire.
Harrison, all
Clapton
of
as
these
well.
guys
Yeah.
actually had a sitar face. In fact, even Derek Trucks. Derek Trucks has a very famous, the slide guitarist, has a very famous collaboration with Rahat Fateh Ali Khan. He sings a song called Maki Madani. I don't know if it's a common song, but this is what I know the song as. But it's a slide guitar performing Hindustani music. It's beautiful because it's such a great combination of the styles. And the Beatles have used the sitar very well. They've used it in its form. Even the Rolling Stones used to do that in its own form, which is very true to both of these art forms. I usually hate fusion music because they compromise both, like
Yeah.
whatever traditions they play. But if you look at jazz fusion bands like Weather Report, if you look at the work that Twisha, have you heard 10 Ragas to a Disco Beat by Charanjit Singh?
No.
There's this amazing track. He
Okay.
has these electronic versions from the 80s, so it's like disco, right? And it's Bhupali, and so the tracks are just names of
Okay.
ragas, and they're
Okay.
fascinating. So synths and beats and drums, Charanjit Singh's 10 Ragas to a Disco Beat is a must listen in the interest of what like coagulations of different cultures can look like in some meaningful form.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I hope I haven't missed you already melding the two styles. If I did, please can we hear some more of it? Otherwise, I'm just gonna go listen to the video instead.
Yeah,
Once
I
we
think we
finish
should
this
just.
thing.
I mean, it's not. It was just an endeavor I started with, but I didn't really go much forward with that. But it's something like you said, fusion music. It makes sense when both the styles, both the people understand what they really want to portray in terms of the, I don't know, the classicality of the music not being lost, but actually imbibing from each other and actually making it. I mean, it should make sense what you're doing, basically. That
Not force
I
Yeah.
fitting. Yeah.
agree with.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, I
I'm
just
gonna
wanted
go
I
back
don't
to,
to
think
yeah.
we've
Kritika.
spoken
Yeah,
too much.
I just want to plug
Sorry.
in one thing. Sorry, but I
Is it
think
is it 9:30 already?
yeah, that's why I just want
Sorry.
to. Yeah, I mean, we can
Oh
go
shit.
on,
Okay.
but just for the people who are already watching us, I just want to plug in one small thing. Today's episode is a special fundraiser aimed at raising funds for artists and artisans. I think Jay will share the link to our
Yeah.
Give India page.
The fundraiser.
Yeah, fundraiser page. And we're supporting this Artists for Artists initiative. The initiative is raising funds for artists from lower income backgrounds who typically earn wages from project-based work. So all the funds that we raise today will be donated towards distributing food kits containing basic groceries. So I urge all of you who's watching us right now or who will be watching us at a later point to kindly click on that link and please do donate as much as you can and also as little as you can. So yeah.
That's cool. I would have totally forgotten. I got carried away and I'm so glad you remembered.
Yeah, so coming back to Twisha, do you mind if we ask you some more questions?
No,
or do you want to continue?
You have a little longer.
Yeah.
So I think what we could do is we can speak to her for a little longer, and then we'll wrap. When we wrap up, we'll wrap up with her composition that we didn't get. We haven't got to yet.
Yes.
So we split the one long performance into 3 parts. We'll use that as the finishing touch.
Yeah. My next question was going to be about your collaboration. But I think you already spoke of it in some sense when you were answering Jay's question in terms of how when you decided to travel, you met people and you decided to explore newer forms, and that also allowed you to collaborate with different artists and different people. So I'm going to leave that and I'm going to ask my next question. So, in the beginning, when we were catching up, we were talking about lockdown and where we are at. So my question was how is it? How has your experience been, and what are your how has the lockdown impacted you? In terms of yourself and also your music and your other engagements. Yeah, your travels especially, yes, that's taken a big hit, but otherwise generally, what are your thoughts? Like, what are your feelings and what are your experiences?
Yeah, I was in Goa until 2 months back. I mean, it's until a month and a half back. I was there for the season, and during the lockdown as well, I've been there. And then I just figured a way to come back to my parents, like they are old and they were a little bit frightened and stuff. So, and it had been quite some time that I'd not visited them. So that's how I'm now in Madurai for the moment. So, lockdown literally it's been beautiful. I think this kind of a lockdown should happen every year across the planet.
I think you're the first person who's telling me that. All of us are going insane.
Lockdown has been beautiful. But this is literally the effect of being in a Gurukul system.
I guess, yeah.
Where you're like in your house and you can explore your art.
I mean, it is making me go insane in certain ways. I mean, I wouldn't use the word insane, honestly. I'm kind of fine. I was in Goa when this happened, right? And when things started to open up, because Goa was the first to open up, it was safe space and all. And I remember telling my friends that I think I'm going to go into a withdrawal symptom because the roads are again going to be full of people, and I mean, things are again going to become the same old things. I mean, people are not going to change. So when I say it should happen every year, I really am serious. For a month, maybe the whole world should just shut down because I think the planet really needs a breather. And it's something that we all saw. I think that is, and I'm very sure we can all manage with that 1 month of. I mean, you don't need a virus to tell us this, to show us this. I think that's important.
Where Delhi was actually clear.
Yeah,
that was as good a sign as anything.
Imagine
when you
that.
could see the sky, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah, and also not just for the environment. I think even for our inner selves, right? Like, in a way, lockdown has forced me to confront so many questions, so many thoughts that I'd otherwise run away from, because I'm so sucked into this routine, right? You wake up, you go to work, come back, whatever, and I watch something, write something, whatever. But then the lockdown gave so many different perspectives, not just in terms of my inner questions, but also in terms of just checking my privilege and just it gave me a better sense of scale, a better sense of where I am in this world and what I can do exactly, and also and my relationship with myself and my relationship to others and the world in general. So that way I've had more, I think, 3 a.m. conversations with myself, the most during the lockdown than any time. Like I don't remember last time thinking about anything about, just generally. I'm always in the moment looking to tick off a box, in my checklist.
Okay.
But this lockdown has actually given me the opportunity to see things for myself and see things about myself. So that way I think
Seek your own
Yeah.
liberation almost.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's pretty true. I don't think anyone is going to be the same or anyone is same anymore. I think it's changed a lot of things. Yeah, certainly. But having said that, if personally looking at it, I really did enjoy because I did have a lot of things to go back to. I mean, I kind of needed this kind of space. I mean, it's funny I say this, but because I'm traveling, I'm not really on a job or, I'm not on a full-time job, is what I mean.
hey,
But still, I kind of needed to shut myself in a den and just go back to Drupad, which actually I realized that through my travels and stuff, that you cannot mix two forms of two styles of any particular art. And I mean, I realize that I can't say that I am going to be doing Drupad since I'm a full-time musician. That's not how it works really, because if you are a full-time musician, if you are really commercially performing and stuff, you are concentrating on a different style and your energies are gone there, so your mind is thinking in that particular manner. You can't think that way in the morning and come back in the evening and shift the whole mindset to the Drupad style, for example. I mean, it just doesn't work. It's really tough. So this kind of thing, this COVID actually gave me that luxury of going back to that space where I am 24/7 only thinking in Drupad manner. So my music has improved a lot in that sense, and going back to yoga and cooking and all those things. So it's been really fun. But it is a big problem financially, for sure.
Mm.
I honestly, it is a really very, very hard time right now to figure out how to sustain oneself. And yeah, just trying to figure out, battling through it. I'm sure everyone's going through that right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, however bad it is, it's much worse for anyone else, right? And so, in a certain way, I think really the experience of suffering is the same, even though the pains are different and the proportions and densities of it can vary from person or context to context. The experience of suffering is really quite the same. And Visha, as I'm listening to you, the story that I'm hearing is one of liberation. So there is difficulty, but your art has protected you in a way that most people haven't been able to protect their souls at a time like this, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm hearing as you're saying these things. I've had a similar experience. I feel I've been taken care of by circumstance and by the universe in whatever form, and I'm very grateful for it. So art has that capacity to hold you as you need to be held in whether you encounter it as a listener, as a teacher, as a student, as an artist. It's really all the same, because the making of the art is a collective prerogative of each of these parts, right? And so art doesn't have meaning outside of this. So it really,
I
I mean,
would,
often,
sorry to interrupt you here, but I would just go one step further saying that, I mean, it's a cliched line saying art is everything is art, but it is very true if you look at it fundamentally. It is really true because
sure,
every little thing you
sure.
do is that. And if
Yeah,
it's just the way we
anything
look
can
at
be
it.
anything. And do you know this? I mean, I don't mean to reduce that statement. I'm saying that the perspective that everything is an art, can be artistic, can be turned into art, can be seen as art. All of those things are, really excuses for us to get a good understanding of, what it can do for us. I feel, if you can encounter it in any way,
Uh,
that's
I
good
would
enough.
I would add a certain thing to that. I don't really mean, I mean that, okay, coming down to a plain thing like sweeping your house. Okay,
I'm
I'm
talking
really
about that
bringing,
too. I'm talking
yeah.
about that, Trisha. Like, I mean, I'm an extreme kind of guy. Unfortunately or fortunately, I mean, I say things with a smile because otherwise it sounds more dangerous than it is. But I'm relating to you at the level of like sweeping the house. I mean, I'm going, like, for instance, the way I experience sweeping the house is, for me, I basically have only three values, and I feel like it's amenable to art, which is curiosity, wonder, and acceptance. Asking questions, the capacity to marvel at things and to accept things for what they are, and what they are not. And so sweeping the house, for instance, becomes a story on planning angles. How do you get some parts of it? How are you going to sweep your arcs? Do you damp it up
Yeah.
immediately after? How do you deal with the density of dust around? Where is it concentrated? Do you have to brush everything off? Is it better to turn on your fan for a bit? Mix it up. Basically, the point is your muscles acquire a memory over time. Your memory has become memory over time. We act as though they're fixed and never changing. That's so stupid.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, learning music, you understand that everything is constantly remixed and editable and evolving more than anything else. And so long as you're open to learning from your muscles and teaching your muscles, whichever muscles they are, art is possible. If you can be an agent of thought, of capacity to sense, art is possible. And mm, what I've learned from Kritika, for instance, is that Kritika is a deep lover of books, and she runs a bunch of initiatives around that direction. And her day job is around making the Constitution accessible to more and more people. So obviously she works with a lot of text, and the idea that you can find romantic ideals in things around you, I think, makes life worthwhile. So I mean, I'm relating very hard to the idea that we should go all the way, even sweeping and mopping and cutting and baking. The more inane it is, no, I'm going to find a way of making it beautiful. I mean, I've decided that that's how I want to live. This was the myth of Sisyphus, right? And Kamu was talking about how there is a special joy in rolling all the way up and
Yeah.
finding meaning in repetition and evolution, irrespective. Not the same person rolling it up the next time it goes down all the way, right?
Yes.
And coming back to eternity and returning to it. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, that it actually, you articulated it so well. It was a stray thought that I had a day or 2 days ago when I was just trying to find beauty in my mundane activities at home, right? Like just also it hit me hard that, oh my God, I'm never going to get the second back. Each second that I have, like each minute that I live is unique. Right, I can just sit and like while away my time looking out of the window, or just marvel at how even that experience I think is beautiful and important, right? And the pressure I think brings back to what Babli was saying earlier about the kind of world that we're living in currently, which is so output oriented that you feel, I mean, I don't know, I felt this, that so many times just looking at time and my relationship with time in terms of how productive I am. And for me, the productive means like a different thing. Like, productive means like how many, okay, what am I doing at work? What am I doing outside work in terms of like
productive in outcomes of outcomes.
Exactly, outcomes. And then like, I mean, I feel like I mean, one thing that I was trying to do during the lockdown was to unlearn that meaning of productivity, and then not just
break out of the rat race.
Exactly, and also just rethink my relationship with time. I mean, it's okay if I listen to a music album for 2 hours and just sit on the couch. I think that's beautiful. I think that's a beautiful experience of time. So so thanks Badri for articulating it so well.
Wow, yeah.
No, I mean, I just re-articulated what you said and what Trisha said. So, I mean, it's not on me. And
So I was just going to say, I think I'd happily keep going, but I'm also slightly concerned that we're eating into people's dinner times, which is quite funny that we're eating and dinner. But before we wrap up, Trisha, it'd be really good if we go back and finish that performance. So can we finish on
a short composition
on the composition that we were promised at the start? I don't think there's
a
better way of wrapping up. So we'll have a performance and say a thank yous, and I'm sure we'll have you back. So that's and we'll come back and we'll probably have even more questions.
a disclaimer, the tabla, I'm not sure how good it's going to sound on this, but I'm anyways going to try it.
We'll try. Okay. Sounds good. We'll
Right.
mute ourselves as well, just to make sure that there's no feedback.
Do you guys hear the tabla?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not terrible at all.
Okay.
It's quite okay, Trisha. So I mean, it just sounds like you have the tanpura on the background. It's not bad. So I would say, so long as you keep the volume low enough, it's going to be sonically all right, streaming wise.
Okay, the volume is too loud, you say?
No, it's perfectly
No, I'm
fine.
saying
It's perfectly fine.
if you reduce it a little bit, we can hear your strings more clearly, because the sitar
Yeah.
volume is slightly less than the thing, right?
I
Obviously.
haven't. Yeah, okay, cool.
This is okay. This is okay.
Yeah, I'm now going to
Okay.
remove my earphones.
stop here. It's losing speed.
That was still so nice, so nice.
I'm glad,
And all our fears of transmission, listening to tabla through phone, and all of those fears were overcome quite easily.
It was quite surreal. It was quite surreal.
Beautiful.
Oh, I'm glad it was clear.
So good.
Apart now.
No, the technology has held us for long enough and held up for long enough, and we got through this episode, and from our 10-minute delay of figuring out which internet connection, which phone, headphones versus no headphones, we made it through, and that was a stunning episode. So
thank you. I've enjoyed so much talking to you guys, really. And
there was so much beauty. There was so much beauty.
Incredible. So Trisha, you might have seen our the event invitation, right? We've so far had two main types of events. We've had events which have been themed as being a part of the beauty series, and we've had events which have been wisdom. Now the funny part is they both there's beauty in wisdom and wisdom in beauty. But where our wisdom conversations have been having panel discussions, talking about like fairly topical issues, etc. But this session was obviously titled was titled "Beauty Musical Travels with Iti," and like completely unprompted, Kritika nailed it on the head. It just said that was so beautiful. Like, there's so much beauty in this exercise. Like, it was so fitting to the title. And on that note, I want to say thank you very much to everyone who joined us this evening, who've stayed. We hope you haven't eaten into your dinner and you still have time to go and eat your dinners.
I was better prepared, Jay. I had my dinner early.
It's like, the other option of having your dinner with it, but we also have another line to satisfy ourselves, which is basically that, after a nice concert, you really enjoy your food much more, and you do feel quite filled up by the music. I'm not in a hurry to eat. I did eat some time ago, but this is far more satisfying than a meal just because I had to eat right now. And I like the fact that we were not wedded to now, and that's the beauty of an eternity. You can associate with it in any form and still be the same. And that's the power of the music that you played for us tonight and right now. What a great way to close with Hamsadwani. Hamsadwani is one of the ragas which actually has the same name in Hindustani and Carnatic music.
Yeah.
So it's a nice note to end that on.
Right. But Bhadri, I still played the Yaman. It was still Kalyani.
Oh my God. Oh shit!
I think we'll edit the video.
That is very embarrassing. But
we'll edit the video.
I am sorry.
No, you don't have to edit the video.
By saying it.
No, you don't. It's not embarrassing, and it's okay to be wrong. But the fact of the matter is, both Kalyani and Shankarabharanam have the same notes, have the same 7 notes. Only the Ma is different. The Sari Gapa Nisa, which is in Hamsadwani. And the Hamsadwani is actually present in both. Both have a good relationship. Shankarabharanam and Yaman have a good relationship with the Ga, Pa, and Ni. And the Ni and Ri are more dominant in Yaman. But if I were listening for Hamsadwani, I could find it right now. And that is, I suppose, the expansiveness of any musical experience is finding infinities in many directions.
Absolutely. In fact,
so it's okay to be wrong. It's fine.
You're not wrong. Yeah. So there is nothing like not wrong. So perfect.
On that note, I think I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I must say, I really also had an amazing chat with you guys. I really enjoyed this, and I'm really glad I connected with you guys. And we'll always
we'll definitely have you back.
We'll always be grateful to Gauri for this. To be completely truthful,
Thank you, Gauri, for watching this.
She is watching. She is watching.
Yeah, she's the top one commenter for the day.
She told me she would come and watch.
But this, but that said, Trisha, I just want to say, all your musical experimentations you want to do, please do it along with us. We would love to journey with you again in any direction that you want to take us. And if you want to explore ragas, talas, you want to explore your practice, the stuff you don't get to try, I like here on this show, on this exercise. We have the capacity to use this time together in any way we please, and that's the freedom and beauty of the internet. So I'm very happy to explore the discovery of Drupad over internet and in a performance. I'm actually more interested in your practice than I am in your performance, because the performance is just very sublimated practice. And that's the only way to look at it, So this, thanks for joining us tonight. We're very, very grateful to have you. And yeah, that's about it from me.
Thank you so much.